Hey, everybody, welcome back. Craig Schaub here with our New York City film critic, Bob Garver. Bob, we're past the holidays. We have one more holiday to end the year with the new year coming up. How are you doing as we hit the home stretch of 2024?
I'm doing okay.
All
Had
right.
a
Well,
lovely Christmas. Yep.
yeah, hopefully you had a great Christmas and didn't get any lumps of coal in your movie stockings. But we are talking about some box office duds, box office successes, and maybe an Oscar contender. We'll start off with Amelia Perez. This is a Netflix streaming movie. A lot of buzz going on right now for the movie with Zoe Saldana and Carla Sophia Garcon, and of course Selena Gomez. Bob, what did you think of Amelia Perez?
Well, it's definitely a very different type movie. There aren't many musicals about transgender drug lords,
Mm,
but of course, I had to see this movie once I saw how many Golden Globe nominations it landed.
yeah,
Um, all three of the uh, main actresses and picture and the screenplay and all of that makes it the most nominated film of the year.
yeah,
And of course, I expected to do similarly well at the Oscars, at least in terms of nominations.
sure.
I think picture and the actresses all have a really good shot, especially the and I want to make sure I say this right. Um, Carla Sophia Gascon
Uh-huh.
as the drug lord who transitions into being a woman. I think very excellent chance of first ever um, transgender Best Actress winner with this role. But yeah, this is a certainly a very interesting movie with the transgender drug lord Zoe Saldana as the lawyer that assists her with uh, various operations and then helps with um, various philanthropic efforts once she makes the transition, and Selena Gomez as her ex-wife and mother of her children.
Well, obviously, like you mentioned, this is generating a lot of buzz, several Golden Globe nominations, expecting to get Academy nominations as well. Do you think that this movie has earned those nominations? Do you think this is a movie worth seeing?
Um, because the rest of the comedy and musical category isn't that strong, I would say yes. Um, Up against more dramatic, heavier fare, it probably won't do as good nomination wise, but I think it'll still get some key nominations.
Okay.
Um,
And what are your thoughts on the movie? As you mentioned, some of those nominations that it's possible to get. Did you like this one?
I did. Definitely a different type of movie. Musical numbers, but a little more musical numbers that are a little closer to like a stomp than a Wicked. If Wicked is the Broadway nominee, this is the off Broadway
Mhm.
uh, contender in the race. Which isn't to say it's bad. It's just um, possibly has kind of an off putting style.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the actresses, probably at least scoring the Golden Globes, Critics' Choice. You're probably looking at some Academy nominations. This must be one of those actors types of movies where they get to showcase their talents. Anything stand out from the performances here?
Um, Gascon definitely. She'll definitely be making a run at lead actress. And Saldana maybe as supporting actress, just because I'm not seeing a lot of consensus around a supporting actress this year.
Mhm.
Um, so she could get into supporting actress, I think, pretty easily because she has some really good musical numbers. Even though her character is less important to the story than the drug lord herself.
Okay. Final grade for Amelia Perez.
B, yeah, it's on my best of the year list.
Okay.
at least in its current state.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, from one Oscar hopeful to another that will maybe watch the Oscars, we have Craven, we have
Craven the Hunter.
Craven the Hunter. This is I believe this was a movie that was maybe delayed a few times here. It finally gets
Yeah.
a December release. Mercifully, maybe just trotted out there against some stiff competition at the holiday season. Sony, I think we've talked about it before, has had a really strange run of Spider-Man spin-off villains. Although I will say, and I think you can agree that the Spider-Verse animated movies are really well
Yes,
crafted.
those are the exceptions.
Yeah. But we have of course, Venom probably being the most successful of the group of Sony villain Spider-Man spin-offs. Here we have Craven the Hunter. Aaron Taylor Johnson stars. I'm sure he got a nice paycheck for it. I hope he did. Tell us a little bit about Craven the Hunter.
Craven the Hunter tells the story of uh, Craven, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and the feud with his father, played by Russell Crowe. Um, and he and his brother, played by Fred. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name. Fred Heckinger, from Gladiator. He has a whole kidnapping angle with the brother, and against the main villain, Rhino, played by Alessandro Nivola. But wasn't digging the plot or the story so much of this movie. Was kind of digging the character. Aaron Taylor Johnson makes a good, action movie hero, and there are things about this to like. When the movie gives characters a chance to just talk a little. But the action's a mess. Story progression is a mess, and it's just another Spider-Man adjacent disaster like Madam Web, and
Yes.
even the Venom movies to me, I know they do well,
Yeah.
but I don't like them. I'm sorry.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will bring an end. I'm not sure if it's going to bring an end to the Sony villain Spider-Man spin-offs, but it might. I don't know. I mean, it has not done any box office, and I believe they are done with Venom. So I'm guessing that standalone Sony villain films are probably on the back burner for right now. But what's your final grade for Craven the Hunter?
C minus.
All right. Well, in the spin-off universe, I suppose, Mufasa, the Lion King. This is an origin story of the Lion King animated feature, and also, I guess, the Lion King live-action feature. I'm assuming maybe more of a spin-off or prequel to the live action as opposed
It's
to
it's a
animation.
it's a
But
it's a prequel, yeah.
okay,
Um,
so tell us about this rise of Mufasa here.
well, the film uses a framing device of Simba and Nala going off to do some adult lion business, and they leave their cub Kiara in the care of Timon and Pumbaa, played again by Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen. And their danger fraught stories aren't helping her because she's scared about an upcoming storm. Um, but Rafiki, the monkey, steps in, and he tells her a story about her grandfather Mufasa, so that she might be brave herself going forward. Um, I know that a lot of people, it's already kind of a bomb commercially, and they're saying it's a bomb creatively. I don't think it's that bad.
Okay.
But it's a story of Mufasa and how he, was taken from his parents and raised by the king and queen of faraway pride,
Hmm.
and eventually, he was sort of a brother of their son Taka, and eventually he and Taka went off on their own, and long story short, he eventually, becomes king of another pride. But yeah, I mean, this is a more definitely more ambitious film than Craven the Hunter.
Sure.
And I think the characters are compelling enough that I do give this movie a recommendation. I don't love it. I don't love the shtick from Timon and Pumbaa. I don't love the animation. The songs from Lin Manuel Miranda, which make the movie seem more like a sequel to Moana than the actual Moana sequel.
Mm.
I don't think they're particularly memorable, especially when you compare them to like the five iconic Elton John songs from the original.
Right.
But it's actually a pretty enjoyable movie, I thought, overall.
Well, and it's kind of disappointing that it hasn't done well commercially because Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight, an Oscar winner, is behind the camera here. And it would have been nice to see maybe a commercial success for him because he hasn't really broken out in the commercial domestic box office mainstream. So I'm guessing that, this doesn't really help his chances for being able to make the types of movies maybe he wants to make following this that he does. But what
Yeah,
are your
for
thoughts
his
on
for
that?
his sake, as more than anybody's, I'd like to see this have commercial success.
Absolutely. What's your final grade for Mufasa, the Lion King?
B minus.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, we will, I guess you could say, wrap up our 2024 with Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I got to tell you, Bob, I do like the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. I have not seen this one yet, but I have found enjoyment in the first two. I think they've found the right tone to strike with that movie. It's not too serious, it's self deprecating, it makes fun of its own self at times. So I think tonally they have found a way to make this successful. However, I understand that there are problems with the movies and they're not great, but they've been entertaining for me. What say you about the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and what about this sequel, Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
Unfortunately, I'm not with you on liking the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Okay.
I think that they're basically glorified toy commercials that
Mhm.
tell jokes that they think are popular, that are they're pandering to kids because it's the same types of jokes they do in the MCU.
Mhm.
But there's not a lot of originality to these movies, and the action and acting certainly isn't well directed. And this one is another one.
Okay.
Um, they come across a new villain named Shadow. Sonic and his friends come across a new villain um, named Shadow, played by Keanu Reeves, who I don't think really has a lot of personality here. Um, and they're up against Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey again.
Mhm.
This time, Dr. Robotnik is paired up with his grandfather, also played by Jim Carrey. So it's two Jim Carrey performances, which maybe in the maybe in the '90s and 2000s might have been something to root for, but here
Yeah.
here it's just tired shtick on top of more tired shtick. But I wasn't digging this one.
Okay. What's your final grade for Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
C minus. Although I will say, if you like the other two Sonic movies, then by all means, maybe you'll find something you like here. So, and I know a lot of people do like those movies, so
Yeah,
that's why this movie is enjoying so much commercial success. But
absolutely. Yeah. Although I
but
will, I will have reservations about two Jim Carrey performances. I think he's been among the weak links in the other Sonic movies with just his hammed up, as you said, shtick that he performs. But overall, yeah, I do find them enjoyable. But I understand how people might not, or how like you said, a glorified toy commercial, or mostly for the kids. But yeah, I definitely agree there and understand where you're coming from. All right, Bob. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our 2024. I know you'll have some movies that will come in here towards the end of the year that we'll get to in the new year. But what do you have coming up on the horizon for us?
um, well, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to dive into more awards contenders.
Mhm.
Uh, you're going to see me review The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Nickel Boys, a lot of the movies that are. I'm going to try to see as many Golden Globe contenders as I can before that award ceremony. So maybe in about 2 weeks we'll have another show.
Okay.
For more movies that technically came out in 2024, but may have taken me until 2025 to get to.
Okay. All right. Well, we can catch up on those and maybe sort of discuss the year that was 2024 in movies. I know that might not have been the deepest year for contenders, but there were a few standouts, I believe, and I think we can both agree on Anora being among those as well. So
Mhm.
we will get back at it in a couple of weeks. Bob, I hope you have a great new year. I hope your end of 2024 will give you another great movie. And I hope early 2025 returns are just as good for you in the movie watching. Happy New Year. Have a great holiday season. We will see you next time, Bob.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for doing the show. Highlight of my week.